first question is pretty basic. Right? Talk about where we post notices and how we notify meetings. We wrote the question there, answer any questions on number one. Number two, why was the meeting March 8th notice of executive session at 4:30 and was held publicly? And the answer is there. Because being reviewed and request a public meeting as a sort of statute. Questions on number two? Comment. Let's go to the comments. We want to do comments. We just want to get an answer. Let me just say, if you want to, we can circle back for commentary on the questions if you want. I really want to get an answer to Andrea Evans. We can circle back to do comments.
I'm sorry, but I think that the purpose of the study session is to hear from council about our responses, and you have your answers here, and some from the council leadership team,
Right.
but they're not reflective of the council as a whole.
That's correct.
And so I would really prefer for us to, as we go through them, be able to articulate our own concerns and our own responses as well.
That's great, but our goal really is to formulate a question that we can give back to Andrea Evans. Okay, and we've got an hour to do so. So if you want to put the answer, if you already have, do you want to add to the answer?
Yes.
Change the answer? It's your call.
Sure. So basically my comment is that, you know, in my understanding of the ORS and from the way things went down, I felt like this meeting should have been held at a regularly scheduled council meeting to allow for there to be more public interest or input and also to maintain more public trust. And kind of as a solution moving forward, I'd like to see the use of these special meetings for emergency purposes only. I felt like, you know, from a lot of your answers further down in this, you know, we had known about the HR issue for a little while, so there didn't necessarily seem to be any emergency necessity to fire Jamie right then on the spot, and it could have been put off to our next council meeting. And so, like I said, moving forward, I'd like to see these sort of things, you know, put into our normal council meetings, not emergency meetings.
Thank you. The question says, why was it notice of the executive session, then it was held as a public session? And the answer is, under the ORS statutes, the person who refused can't request a open session. That's going to answer the question. So did you not agree with that answer to the question?
There's a second part to that.
Well, let's do it first.
And what she said, basically, there's a second part of that, you know, to respond to her, you know, up to the regularly scheduled city council meeting, that like, why wasn't this done at the regular scheduled council meeting as opposed to in a special council meeting?
Right. Well, it can't be held in a regular meeting, it has to be held in an executive session.
So the executive session is a regular council meeting.
It could pour after regular council meeting.
Okay. That's my comment. Okay. Moving forward, I think that would be a better practice for us to hold and maintain more public trust.
I just wanted to add to that explanation as well. I think that, yes, we could have done an executive, we had the right to do an executive session. Of course, it was being presented as a public hearing because that's, the city manager had the right to request that. But again, I really want to ensure that we're using special meetings very sparingly, and my response would be that we could have done this in our regularly scheduled meetings. And I would like for us to do that in the future. I'm kind of thinking, solution oriented moving forward is let's make sure that we are giving good notice, not just because we have to, but because that helps us.
We always give you notice, just probably more about notice before we make this few special sessions as possible. But we added something in here that will strive to do as few special meetings as possible. That's why you could.
Yeah.
And that it could have helped during a regularly scheduled, the next city council meeting, so the second, third, first one.
As we go along, we're putting some notes here. But you guys will tell me also making you keep track. We'll strive to hold less special meetings. And yes, it could have been done in a regular meeting. You guys want to add a comment?
That's one.
Just prioritizing as much business as possible in a regular meeting.
And also, Chris, I wanted to respond to something you said, you know, that the law says that we have to give it a minimum of 24-hour notice to the meetings, right? Yeah. So that's the minimum, right? I'd like to see us do, you know, what is kind of the best case scenario. right? So giving them the minimum notice is not necessarily the best course of action you can do. That's the minimum course of action you can do. So I'd like to see us try to give more than 24 hours if possible.
The regular meeting,
48,
Or
2 weeks. With the regular meeting, there is no,
I don't know.
yeah.
This is a precedent, right? 48 is the best.
with a regular meeting, there is no, we're not worried about 24 to 48 hours with the regular meeting.
Right.
Right, it's excused, but, and yes, it could have been done at a regular meeting. You think to that?
Yeah, Oregon is a typical go back and look at when you deal with personnel action down there. Usually you try to do it in a timely fashion. I agree you would give another 24 hours, but to run it over to holiday, considering the emotions involved and everything else.
But inappropriate, so as we go through this, it comes out that these issues started coming up in February. So when these issues came up, it could have been agendized for a regularly scheduled city council meeting to do a staff review and a comment. So it didn't get agendized
That's a
until the last.
different, that's a different question.
Okay, but I was responding to what you said.
Number 3, council can allow public comment prior to making a decision. The suggesting any conditions, is there any conditions that you want guys to add?
We're getting lots of comments. Just, waited on the crowd.
Yeah, well, we never, in executive session, we never had people stuffing in executive session and doing public comment, so that never happened.
I'm just saying, personal observation was here.
So we have number 3, number 4, why won't it be informed of the main HR issue the day before the session was held, and public meeting laws and city charter guide for those done. Any questions on the board?
Yes. I would like to add to this. I think, so we referred to this a little bit in some of the other questions that came up. This issue should have been discussed by council as a whole. It's in our charter that council makes hiring and firing decisions.
Right.
It should have come up to us as a regularly scheduled agenda item as a staff review item, and it didn't until it feels like it was already, kind of an emergency, so that something had to happen at it right away. We have discussions all the time about issues like these, and it should have been regularly agendized. So that we could learn a little bit more about what's going on, and make more educated, informed, and timely decisions. And moving forward.
But you do understand that this type of issue is guided by public meeting laws, by the city charter. Right, so you're saying you want to have more discussion at public meeting, we had a discussion that may have happened.
So it's saying, I guess I'm confused about the response. It says, why weren't you informed about the major HR issue until the day before the executive session was held? I think this, again, I just want to reiterate that it happened very hastily, in my opinion, that the meeting was scheduled very hastily, and that we should have scheduled it for a regularly agendized meeting so that we could put more thought and attention and do some more fact checking.
Yeah, but we understand we could warn everybody of the major HR issue before we had a meeting. It had to be done in a public format, open, sunshine, transparency, guided, that we couldn't talk about this as a council before that meeting. So the meeting was arranged to do what people suggestions to go over those types of issues and questions. But we couldn't do it. Only part of what you do the day before, we could without breaking the rules, right?
I think I disagree with you there. We clearly can't deliberate about this sort of an issue, right? But information going out to council is allowed in the public meetings, if I'm not mistaken.
In this case here, it's very course of action. We're not to start having testimony given to you guys, testimony to you guys by personnel. It had to be done in open session.
It didn't need to have been testimony. It could have been as easy as saying, hey, y'all, so we have been seeing some staffing issues, and we would like to have a conversation as a council about some staffing issues that have arisen relating to our city manager. But that didn't happen until 24 hours before this meeting. So with other issues, as they come up, sometimes we hear about them weeks in advance. We hear a little bit more about the issue and what we can expect to discuss.
least we can gather the information on how the dates to kind of read through that. Yes.
Right.
Which would be legal, correct, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I think that your answer to number 4 should reflect a little more of that conversation rather than just saying, oh, means the law did not allow us to do that.
What is first on was corrected, so we make sure it's documented, procedure. The only thing you have to caution when you're dealing with HR issues, you have to be very careful. What in the email. So you can just be very general, I mean, this, I do quite a few shooting and say, well, individual, you have to meet with people from the real personal issues. And you should put a title on it, you need to say, well, now,
And I think that that can be discussed in the manual that is being discussed, putting together, what does that process look like? But to have none of that in advance is.
and so what part of that answer would be the procedure would be just, we're just being justified now. So you have to make some money, so.
I love that.
So we, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I don't foresee us being able to send out emails saying that the city manager is having a problem with management style with regards to employee X, Y, Z. Right? And that seems to me like we could not do something like that. Sure. That's kind of like what you guys wanted me to do beforehand, just express to you that there was a problem internally with the management style of the manager vis-a-vis an employee. And you just, I couldn't do that. I wouldn't go there. I think that would be violating the HR policy. I could be wrong, but correct me if I'm correct here. Right? I mean, we can be very, like we said, we're going to meet tomorrow regarding a review of the city manager with regards to leadership quality, something of that nature.
You can do that.
I know, and that's why I really want to do an open session, because if you start going down that direction, make one little word of
What you can do is you have personnel issues and you have to be to address those, and it'll either be imposed or based on the individuals and all.
and that's what we did the day before, this is what the problem performance review, which is.
I think that the 24 hours is this type of thing, it was festering, and I really think it could have been announced earlier. In other words, because we got to the point where it was time sensitive. But I really think, in my opinion, it could have addressed this, and that's appropriately done this earlier. The council had some time.
Be very cautious with the issues.
I didn't think, panic our city manager when I said the first time, a lot of it's been done here at Norm, there's not that much more to do.
It's been a lot of parts of the backers, front people, but yeah, we used to grab that.
Yeah, there's some issues that we need to get out.
But it's close.
I would like to come out to.
Please.
My review.
Thanks, Dave.
I was slaughtered to get.
Sure. And as we're going through this, I wonder, but it's just, what they're doing.
Well, I also want to clear that I understand where you're coming from in terms of scheduling executive session for a regular meeting. However, then on the other side of the fence, I wouldn't want you to discuss probably in advance of the executive session. Just have the executive session immediately or public meeting law, then that person who is being reviewed. But the council is never required to hold an executive session. You can always discuss the things, discuss an executive session or open session from repetitive. In this case, when you're doing the review of a public officer, you must do it in executive session.
Or have the option.
Unless the person being reviewed requests, so you're aware of that. And I think Chris is correct that he cannot really divulge a great deal of what's going to be discussed in executive session and ask the meeting because the person being reviewed isn't entitled to that right of privacy unless they expressly believe it, so.
And to clarify some of the concern here too, it wasn't just, all the content of, give us specific details about, what's been going on, but just to have had a conversation that we need to do a staff review. That would have been enough, to a certain extent, so that we could have scheduled it, so we could have talked about the process, what that hearing could have looked like, and what it looked like as a council. Even without some of the details, it would have been enough to say, we're seeing some issues, we would like to schedule an employee review. And that did not,
Understand.
And that's why.
It happened 24 hours in advance.
It did happen, but it happened 24 hours, 48 hours.
That's why I'm saying either personnel manual
just, we're just the CEOs, the council leadership team, and the council leadership's response is that,
It was written to the council.
What-
If I may.
but to why the council leadership team attempt to discharge the city manager by way of asking for a resign or what? Okay, so it's really asking, leadership team, but you want to comment.
I would like to. So it says, why did the council leadership team attempt to discharge the city manager by way of asking her to resign in a violation of her charter without informing the rest of elected councilors that an issue existed? So one of the things I want to touch on here, one of the reasons I think this is addressed to council is because council delegates specific authorities to the council leadership team. And we've asked for clarity on what the council leadership team is authorized by council to do and to not do. And the response that was given a couple months ago in a council meeting was that we agendize council items. And so I think this is a really important issue, and I would like to continue.
How do you choose?
So I would choose to answer, so the answer is, this is not an accusation, or I'm sorry, this is an accusation, not a question, and the accusation has no basis in fact. And then it says, the leadership team did not attempt to discharge the city manager. The city manager was being notified that the council would hold a meeting to discuss information from staff members. As a common courtesy, the city manager was offered the opportunity for an amicable separation of employment that would be brought before the council. So the question was, council, why did the council leadership team attempt to discharge the city manager by asking her to resign? And I think part of what I have to add here is that we need to have a conversation about the duties that are authorized, that are delegated by council to the council leadership team. I can't imagine a scenario where we haven't granted the power of council leadership team to make a decision like that and to ask that kind of question, to ask one of our staff members to resign. In the same vein, I, as an independent city councilor, couldn't go up to one of our staff members and ask them to resign, because that's not a conversation we've had together as a council, and that's written into our charters. Council makes hiring and firing decisions. So I think that's something, some context that we need to include in our response here.
So what would you do that? I mean, how would this is the council leadership team answer? Talk about the council leadership activity. What would you want the team to change?
I would like the council leadership team to not make decisions that council hasn't authorized them to make.
We can have a discussion about, talk about leadership team responsibilities, what they do as liaisons to the city council. But I'm really looking forward to the answers. Question that I have to give to Ms. Adams. If we have our answer there, I'm not sure. Like I said, it's an answer, but I understand what I'm talking about.
I would like to add to the answer is that, the rest of the council wasn't consulted in the decision to ask the city manager to resign.
Okay. Didn't ask her to resign, but I think you're saying.
Oh, well, I asked that question directly, both of you and of our city attorney, and the answer was yes, we did ask her to resign.
This is what we did right here.
Because he told me you're not saying that you're answering.
We didn't ask her to resign. And she actually had the letters I read. I actually verbally read from a letter. We have that written before we resign.
It does not, but when I asked you in person, you asked to resign. I'm just trying to clarify here.
Thank you. So,
I have no hardship putting something in there to clarify exactly what you mean.
so but in the future, we're going to have a discussion regarding the responsibility of the policy. Okay.
Yeah. Is that something we can agendize in the future? Discussion?
Dave, can you put that on a future agenda?
I would,
Council is not good at it.
they can ask.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Number 5. Anything else, number 5? Number 6, water city staff and due diligence by council. This proper process of public you make any decisions at the meeting, with our prerogative? Okay, so,
Just that, you know, I wish that I would have made the motion to adjourn that meeting to regular scheduled meeting so that we would have been more prepared for it, in retrospect, of course.
like we can, like, we won't let you make any decision at the meeting,
Right.
but we do have the right to make a decision.
We have the right to make the decision, but I think we should make the decision. I think it's more of a best practices question than anything else.
So we can change the answer, or the council has the right to make a decision at a public meeting.
No,
Number 8, council, why did you follow personnel manual for city of Phoenix when dealing with these staff issues? Of course, that's not guides. What we do is the funding contract and charter and questions on number 8. Number 9 was questions of the council and council specifically, mayor and leadership team, exactly what they do, where the answer is they choose that answer.
So it sounds like, just for the record, when she asked for documentation, it sounds like so far we're just asking for the city charter, public meeting laws, and that's about it so far. Just to consider that while we're going through it.
And maybe the city manager contract.
Yeah.
Right, same contract. The charter is on our website, will provide.
Maybe just a list, maybe you're rather than list here, we're trying to, yeah, just to keep that one on, moving through the whole
Contract is,
or if then we're at the,
contract is not on the website, it's public information.
Okay. But the charter is on the website, we provide a contract back in. Number 10, council specifically, mayor and leadership team, why do you not really inform the rest of the council of the serious danger staff issue? We talk about either the public meeting laws, guide, staff, you guys, specific, but it's up.
just one more little caveat there is that Bruce mentioned that kind of got to the point where it's starting to fester, so maybe moving forward, best practices, let's not let it get to the point of it
I want
festering.
personnel and it's put right into the council procedures for the problem. And that's what you can check with them, these are people more specific.
And then have to potentially give us more options as opposed to, you know, what do we do in between, you know, when an issue comes up and when, you know, a potential firing is on the line, what are some things around?
Well, one of the things that we got to the point was litigation. Usually the first step is to start with that issue, start bringing in, when we get to, I want to say the way it's like looking at the city manager. We get people more experience now than the person. And that's just like that situation. That we have a professional city manager, like local actors, make sure that they're.
But the only thing is that the overriding documents that have to use the order statutes are executive session and the charter. So, right. Number 11, another council reactions, some of the mayor and this leadership team about what we did. Any questions, you want to add anything? Number 11.
I guess the question here, just going back, since it is addressed to council, the question going back again comes back to some of the conversation we were having before is, you know, why were some of the councilors involved in these conversations and not others, and, you know, why was this issue not brought to council overarchingly? And so I think, again, it just adding in there that in the future, you know, more of an attempt will be made to bring this to the proper decision-making body.
But the question typically has to go to the mayor, council president, vice president, underneath, does the issue involving city manager, and staff. Our answer is here, we spent time listening to the employees, Council Snyder, at the city manager, but in a short management session with the city manager after February 17th, for evaluation, department heads discuss approaches to personal leadership of those supervisors. That's our answer, is that okay?
And what I'm suggesting adding is just to add it back in is that in the future, attempts will be made to to bring this to the proper decision-making body so that appropriate decisions can be made at the right level.
But it was, I don't mean to go back and forth, but it was brought to the right decision-making body.
The
Was-
council leadership team.
No.
I think we saw a lot of this, a really thorough examination of the abilities, whatever you want to call it, the authority given to the council leadership team.
I agree.
If we can really dispel that out, I think 2/3 of these questions go away.
Right. Okay, so if I could refer back to the question that refers to the CLT study session, work session. Okay, and then number 12, council, why is the mayor choosing individual authority and scope of position of direction of the city manager? I would, my accusation, my question, there's no basis in fact.
Just going back on a little bit, one of the things that we have is council procedures. And what we're talking about right now should be included in that section of council procedures. And then you have it down, always have your council members change the people, you have your guidance from the public.
Are you saying revise the guidance of the council?
But they're saying, yeah, that's where it has to be. Council procedures is where you're gonna address the executive, what they have, and how we go about getting authority to do such things like, when a union contract comes up, what are the procedures to get the authority to negotiate the contract?
Okay. Number 12, modification terms.
I would say that, in your answer, we should clarify the type of government we have and what that structure looks like. And, that we do have a council, manager structure, and that we will do our best to work through that structure moving forward.
I would just city charter lays it all out, did it say city charter?
I would just be a little more specific there, to help answer her questions and
Yeah.
help answer the public's questions about what our structure looks like and how this process should
So
work.
I'll just quote the city charter and put it right here in the question, that way she'll see it in black and white. Cool. Okay, Stuart?
I prefer that you write it out a little bit more personally, but, if you're gonna be the one doing this, it's gonna come.
It's like, if I just copy and paste the stuff that's in the charter, it'll go right here.
Okay, that'd be
It
great.
really lays it out.
Perfect.
13, council, please provide detailed, accurate accounting of the cost of fire and G cloud. It's here. Any questions regarding that?
I'd like to see the exact number put in, just to be specific and to clarify.
So include the exact check that was written to her?
Yeah, I think that'd be appropriate.
Okay.
So we
Just
can-
for transparency.
So, Jeanette, if you can get me an exact check number, amount, it
Yeah.
was 15 and change.
I'm gonna-
And it was 2 months' salary. And there was no additional out-of-pocket costs for recruiting, no additional staff and hired except for the interim city manager. The cost of interim city manager is less than the cost of having the other city manager here.
So I wonder though, if the question, to me, this question is asking, what are the additional costs of having to hire now an additional city manager? And, what are, let's see, please include costs associated with recruiting and hiring, her, I see.
Training
And,
costs,
and then at the end here,
costs.
I'm sorry, and additional staff to do the work that she was hired to do.
And there's none,
There's none.
right.
And there's none, and there was no cost with recruiting and hiring a city manager in the first place? Including staffing costs and time, things like that?
She had responded to a newspaper ad, not an ad, it was just an article that was in the newspaper. And she just popped from out of the blue. We didn't recruit her, there wasn't an ad that she responded to, which is an article in the Mail Tribune. There was really no cost associated with bringing or finding Jamie. She found us.
Okay.
Was there anything besides the 2 month salary, sometimes paying for a couple months of healthcare or
There was some-
contribution to
some-
PERS or anything like that?
There was some accrued vacation pay.
Accrued
Well, we'll
vacation.
put down the exact check in here.
Unemployment, is that a factor here?
I don't know.
Okay, can we look into that?
Dave, could you maybe speak to that a little more? I'm sure that we pay unemployment insurance,
The rate would be minimal effect, certainly.
minimally effective. Okay, great.
Not that that means anything, I'm saying financially, that is.
Okay.
I think it's part of the HR process is bring that, to think the thought.
The next question, talking about council leadership team, what exactly was the additional financial risk that kept being referenced if the city manager was fired after her 6-month probationary period was over? the long answer and provided by, Snyder, basically.
Can we read
Questions
this?
on that?
Yeah, can we read this out loud?
Go ahead.
Okay, so, in response to this question, so the answer is, the reference was not meant to be a financial risk. The discussion was not well presented, leading itself to confusion on the part of all the listeners. It was meant to refer, though not adequately stated, to the requirements to prepare a formal written evaluation of the city manager at the 6-month mark that would require written input from each of the council members and become a formal document placed in her file going forward. The risk would occur because those providing the written content of this permanent document would not have meaningfully better information in just a short while in the future on which to make judgments than was already available the night of the meeting. The process of obtaining meaningful information would take longer than the time to prepare the formal written evaluation, leaving the council in the same position that we're in at that meeting. So I actually do have stuff to add to this. So just to remind folks of what the conversation was on the night of the meeting, there was a conversation about, well, let's wait and let's make this decision another time when we have more information. And one of the arguments that came up was, well, we can't because Jamie's probationary period will be over by that time and it will be a lot more difficult to fire her. And it turns out that that argument was not actually factually accurate, but it seems that we made a decision based on that. And so I guess my question is here, what can we do and can we include in our response to make sure that we have access to accurate information when it comes to our contracts when we're making staffing decisions?
I was, maybe I was hearing a different suggestion than you did. What I heard was that was in coordination if we wanted to get mediation. The mediation would run us past that deadline, not just another meeting. You know what I mean? I thought that was, the mediation's not gonna happen in a day, right? So that was just my understanding of what you're talking about.
Right, and the core of this whole conversation though was, and the part that was inaccurate, was that her probationary period will be over at 6 months. But that what's actually accurate is that we could have an at-will contract with our city manager, meaning we can fire them at any time. But a case was made at the meeting saying, well, we only have this limited window where we can fire her easily, and it turned out that that information was not accurate. So my question for the broader council is, how can we ensure that we have accurate information regarding our contracts?
The contract says up to 1 year in the contract, but at 6 months you do an evaluation. Which is very hard to let her go without a cost, but you do a formal evaluation and document the problems. Then you can sit down there and kind of get into certain costs. Because she would, these areas would have been definitely going to evaluation.
I mean, if we're firing her because she had issues with our head, wouldn't that be a cause?
Well, we elected not to do that. That's what I'm trying to say. We let her go without cause. So that it doesn't affect you fire that she can't collect unemployment. So there's a lot of sympathy that goes into it. But if you do a formal evaluation, it'd be hard to discourage her after that evaluation without cause.
We could fire her with cause, but we'd have to pay her one.
Well, no, if you fire her,
No.
you have a whole different problem.
A whole other problem, yeah. But the guys that asked me, what was in the head of the person making this analysis or suggestions? And Counselor Snyder was the person who brought it up, and that's what his conversation was. And this is his answer that I think we should give to the person asking, what was in your head, what were you thinking about? This is what was in his head, this is what he was thinking about. And I think we should let the answer stand, or back right there too. Jim Snyder, that's his written answer. I'm not gonna change what he was thinking, this is what he was thinking.
Yeah.
Verbatim.
The question says after 6 months, probation, that's, it was a 12-month period on the contract. So the question is not formally about a year.
I think to thoroughly answer the question then, can we give what is accurately in the contract? So what it says here is what Counselor Schneider's impression was. Can we also give the a little blurb about what's actually in the contract.
I'll play CM contract for the document.
Which, providing.
We're including, okay.
Contractors, yeah, they should request that.
Okay.
The key is that 6-month evaluation document that was on the record. That's all.
And number 15, warrant guarantee, attorney, engagement, private and all conversations, most past and public meetings. This is my attorney interaction, normal, expected. Okay, anytime you want to stop a meeting, say, I need to submit a result of our city attorney, you will want to stop the meeting, I'll stop it right in there. You can walk over, walk outside, talk to the city attorney, and get some advice, we ask a question. It's just normal activity, but any questions under 15?
I just want to say that, yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that's a good practice. But in the appearance of being transparent and trying to build public trust, we should keep that to a minimum. But I mean, if there's something pops up, well, of course, we're going to need that.
If I need to ask a question, I'm gonna go out and get it. Keep all the public on track. Anytime you want to ask a question. Number 16, council point, team not to be at most time by the mayor or rather than encourage staff to appropriate pressure, recommendation, portion from an elected paid public official. This is one of those when you stop being your life next question. But I'm gonna change my answer to from one of our council members. When it says paid public official, we don't, a lot of the owners get it, we're all volunteers, so is the mayor, but I get $100 per month stipend for my expenses. I'm gonna cross out the word walking. $100 per month. Thank you. It should be, I just couldn't. You know, we work hard, and, you know, we're all volunteers, we'll be doing that.
One more thing that I can add to that response.
Yeah.
Is that, our charter does not give the conservation team any ability to enforce anything. So I would clarify that with her too, saying the conservation team can't enforce anything that's not the prerogative of the conservation team. Correct. So that's what the council is talking about. Please and thank you.
Number 17, commercial volume, along marriage, that's what Bobby was made, that check analysis, no one found shelf question, guys. This is financial administrative policy for safeguards, to be sort of the information does, users on safeguarded, commissions and that's a question. And I had outlined previously, those new check analysis, any questions regarding this answer? Number
I'm sorry, really quickly, Chris, I just want to add that I feel that if there are still concerns about the city's financial issues, that we could consider, which, did get brought up throughout the whole process, and I think that we could consider having a conversation as a council about doing a forensic audit. So,
It got brought up by a village, by one person, and there's so far, to all of our knowledge, nothing has been come out. We're still looking at things, we're gonna have, do you want to list the last thing now, or no? No.
I was gonna report this to you. CIS, City County Insurance Services, did best practices in Service 2016, and they looked at our financial control and they said the problem. So I contacted CIS and told them the issues that were willing to, I know you just did it a year ago, willing to come back with another best practice. Yeah, okay, so that's.
can we add that as part of our response? I think that would show that the council's going the extra mile to ensure that any accusations are, we're handling them, we're being responsive. So I would like to include that as part of the response.
Sure.
Again, I can also, we're happy to answer specific questions you had about this also, because they were kind of general, given specific concerns about the checks and balances, financial administrative policies, and speak to you directly.
The thing is, when you're out in public, encourage the public to come to the city manager, or to come to the mayor, or come to the funding inspector, and find out the answer. You have problems, you're like, it really gets out there, and kind of give her a reputation, for no reason. I mean, our things look great, there's, I don't think anything there, but once those bombshells get out there, we get a really good plan plan, so how the public come to us, not just doing validation, valid question, this has to go to the money. People see that, they start
Back to simply fine, don't worry there.
And I think the reason people take those accusations so seriously is because in part they were made by the acting city manager.
I understand, no one knows where they came from. But, council, why the city continue to pay the attorney an hourly rate, like, maybe going that one or not?
I want to back up. Some of those accusations came from the acting city manager.
Yeah, they can.
And that's why I've been listening to you.
That's been a part of it,
I
yeah.
just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
I think the reality, the key is we need specifics. We can't, it's difficult to talk about generalities, like, you know, what are the specifics? We could guess the communications power, and then players have 30% factors.
Or trying to find specific things. You can't.
Yeah, very specific to what they're asking. That's the problem.
I do, real quick, 19 council points, maybe going that one or not? 20 council, like, 21.
I just want to say that, you know, I think we have to trust our staff to do the right thing and not destroy any documents that go in staff files, and I think that's a reasonable way for us to approach our HR.
We're also having a free audit on all of our files. Again, it's one of the possible accusations as we can't find anything there. We have some audit files.
I think it would help, you know, that we have to trust our staff to do the right thing. And that would be something that
But that's a good thing that we're having a free review. You know, the more oversight, the better oversight, the better.
It's free audit, very good, anyway. And Aaron Buck is going to do the audit, number 22. What goes on that guy?
Sorry, I'm just want to read through these again really quickly.
You got 22?
Yes. I think we might want to add something to the effect of, we'll take steps in the future to ensure that, good communication is happening between, city manager and the mayor and the rest of the council, to create good relationships and make sure, that we're avoiding those types of situations in the future, or those kind of accusations in the future.
I've done steps, I mean, I feel like we do.
Yeah.
I feel like we do. I feel like if we talk too much, we're gonna use it over rate. I seriously do, I'm not making that up, I'm not being like facetious or not, like, you know, where accusation becomes reality in the minds of people. You know, if Stuart and I wanted to go have lunch, oh man, that's gonna take over Phoenix. You know, they're just in their minds, they don't, you know, it's not that anything's doing, it's not necessarily that anybody's doing anything wrong. But if it's misperceived or the accusations are out there, we all suffer in the city.
Yeah, I think that that's true, Terry, and just to respond back to that quickly, I think that we don't want to be so overly cautious that we are avoiding building relationships with each other.
I agree,
Having
and we've
important
talked, we've
conversations.
emailed about this.
We
and
have.
And I agree with you on that,
But, and then we also, I think, want to make sure that we are addressing real, you know, when there are issues with, having serial meetings or, conversations that really.
Maybe we could agendize an item for the future where we could openly discuss how to function above the realm of accusation and still be effective. in
Yeah.
What we'd like to do.
I think it's
That
gotta
way we
be-
can work together.
I agree.
With that one, don't carry.
Well, good luck with any of it.
That's right.
Well, I think it's gotta be an ongoing conversation, and I think that we've started to do good work to address this issue, is we've started talking very openly about our processes and about our communication, so can we just add a piece that we'll continue doing that work?
So we're gonna continue to work on our processes.
Yep.
Try to make things,
Which is what we're already talking about.
we did a couple things.
We're suggesting you have your council procedures down there, and these are the things that you can go back and look through that.
I don't think
See if
really-
there's some voids in them.
Yeah, I don't think it's really appropriate for that question, but I'm gonna add it in there anyway. Number 23, council, how will you address the current decision-making needs with incredible urge established to follow healthy processes to the implication that we don't have healthy processes for the city? I think we do, but,
And
Yeah, I would like to respond to this. I think, the way that we should manage this, so the question is essentially, we should ask, it's a request for the city to essentially establish like a citizens oversight committee and,
Citizen
advisory committee.
So I'll just read the question that's going forward. The council, because the city has inaccessible and untenable process issues, I don't think we do, we ask the city to agendize establishing a citizen advisory committee for the next meeting, and the answer we have